Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to share with you what are, in my opinion, the three best Amazon product photographers, and specifically are my three favorite or the three most highly recommended Amazon FBA product photography agencies that specialize in product photos for Amazon, right, which is very important. And before I kind of get into my three, so this will be a very brief video, I just want to kind of quickly touch on two things. So number one, obviously, if you're watching this, you know the importance of Amazon product photography, or you should know, okay? Having okay photos or even bad photos can completely ruin any chances of making any money on Amazon. So if this is your first time selling on Amazon, right, you're looking for a product photographer, do not look for the cheapest option, because if you do everything else right and you have crappy photos, you can expect to lose your entire investment. Doesn't mean you will. There's a high likelihood that you will. Why? Because selling online is very different than selling in a physical retail store, okay? In a physical store, you can potentially, depending on what your product is, maybe they should or should not do this, but your customers can touch your product, they can smell your product, they can hear your product, they can potentially taste your product, right? Especially if you serve ice cream, right, then you can serve it, right? But if you sell ice cream on Amazon, the only sense or the only way that your customer can kind of experience or see the value or benefits of your product from that standpoint is with sight, right? Whether that's through images and copy or text. Okay, so through text and through images, it's only sight. So it's extremely important if you're selling anything online to have phenomenal images. If they're not phenomenal, don't expect to make any money. Now that doesn't mean that you need to break the bank, okay? Because I'm going to show you some very well-priced options. It doesn't mean that these are really cheap, but these are really well-priced options. I've done a ton of research on this, and that brings me to kind of point number two is there are plenty of photographers that you can choose from, and even plenty of product photographers to choose from, right? But what you'll find is that most product photographers are really good at taking a photo of a product with a white background, maybe editing a little bit, and then that's it. Either just doing that, or maybe even a little bit editing, and that's it. If you sell products on Amazon and you're only having photos of your product with a white background, you're missing out big time, and you have huge room to improve and a huge potential for an increase in conversion rates. And ideally, and I have a whole video about this, so if you want that video, I have a whole video on different tips, tricks, hacks for Amazon product photography specifically that I'd recommend. I'll link it below in the description section as well if you're interested in that, where I cover, you want three different types of photos, okay? You want white background photos, that's your product with your white background, crisp, clean, different angles, zoom in, zoom out, all that kind of stuff, but white background photos, it's number one. Number two, you want lifestyle photos. Okay, that's essentially your target audience using and enjoying your product, experiencing the benefits of your product. That's called lifestyle photos. Now, you either need to pay for a model to have this, which it can be very expensive, or, and this is what my wife and I do, is rely on someone with really, really good Photoshop skills, okay, which is not easy to come by, and that's why it took me a little bit more research to kind of find these three options for you. Okay, so that's number one, product photos. Number two, lifestyle photos, which either require an expensive model, which you can do, and that's completely fine, or if you really want to save money like I do and get the same result, is to have someone who's really good with Photoshop. If you're okay with Photoshop, it is not going to cut it. You have to be phenomenal with Photoshop in order to get realistic lifestyle images of your target audience using and enjoying your product. So that's number two. And then lastly, number three is you want to have infographics. These are essentially, they don't have to, it sounds really complicated, but it really doesn't need to be complicated with Amazon, and it shouldn't be. It should be very, very simple, clean, and crisp. But essentially, you should have a set of images that have some text on the image that highlight certain benefits and features of your product so people can see that. So for example, if there are certain maybe elements of your product, maybe it heats up or it cools down, and you try to show that with your images, it can still be a little bit confusing. But if you really want to convey the benefit of, or the feature of your product heating or cooling or whatever it might be, you may want to have, some text directing to a part of that image and saying, can withstand heats of this amount, or it cools down, etc., right? Depending, again, it completely depends on what your product is, but essentially it's text, a little bit of text, not a lot, that highlights either the benefits and or features of your product in an image. So you want to have a mix of product, white background product images. That's what you'll use for your main image, okay? Number two is lifestyle. Number three is infographics. And ideally, infographics are kind of their lifestyle images that also have text with them, or it could be, a comparison chart, etc., okay? So with this being said, if you really want all these images, and I'd highly recommend that you have a mix of all these images, you want those images and you want them professionally done and you want them for an inexpensive price point, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find people because you need to find agencies or photographers that have both photography skills and editing skills. That's the key here, right? Is you want to find someone with both, and that is very rare because it's a lot easier to just take photos with the camera, do a little bit of basic editing, and that's it, than to do that and edit and Photoshop and all these different things as well. Okay, so just kind of having that in mind. That's why it's a little bit harder, and I just want you to keep that in mind when searching for an Amazon product photographer for yourself. Okay, I know that's a lot. That's it. That's my little spiel, and hopefully that was helpful for you in knowing why I chose these product photographers and kind of the process of choosing product photographers specifically for Amazon. So we'll go ahead and actually get into the video now, and that is number one, which you've seen here on the screen now for a little bit, is Prime Label Studios. Okay, this is my first recommendation. Now, I have not used them yet, but here's kind of how or why I recommend them. So for the longest time, my wife and I were using Virtuous Graphics. It's kind of blurred out now, and they did a great job. Fairly affordable, not super cheap as you'll see other places, but did a very, very good job for the price that they charge for that kind of mix of infographics, lifestyle, and product photos. Okay, and the company was actually started by a former Amazon employee. It was a former Amazon employee who became an Amazon seller, knew the importance of Amazon product photography, saw a need in the market, and then created his own studio actually in the Philippines. Being in the Philippines, was able to kind of keep costs down, all that kind of good stuff, and was using them, getting great results. And then, unfortunately, as of the 31st of March, 2020, they actually shut down, okay? So this is right before the last time that we used them was right before 31st of March. Okay, since then we've been doing all of our own Amazon product photography and videography. But they recommend Prime Label Studios, which has a lot of the same employees that previously worked at Virtuous Graphics, now work and kind of open up their own studio. So again, I haven't used them yet. I want to give you full disclosure on that. However, I have used Virtuous Graphics and had really great results and was really satisfied overall with the results. And they recommend Prime Label Studios, and that's why I'd recommend you. Again, if anyone has used it, let us know in the comments, help everyone out. And if I do end up using them, which I don't think I will because, like I said, my wife and I do all of our own Amazon product, graphic design, product photography, all of that. But in case that we do, we will let you know and give an official review. But at least this will help you kind of narrow down your Amazon product photography search. So that's number one, is Prime Label Studios. And the second Amazon product photography service that I recommend is called No Limit Creatives. Now, I've only used No Limit Creatives for some past videography work for one of my Amazon brands. I was very satisfied. However, I know many respected Amazon sellers who have used No Limit Creatives specifically for their Amazon product photography and are very satisfied with the outcome. And of course, at the very least, hopefully this at least lets you know exactly what agency to ask about in Facebook groups or wherever and say, hey, are these guys legit? Have you guys had experience with them? And by the way, if anyone watching has had experience with any of these services that we've talked about, let us know about your experience in the comments so we can all learn and benefit. Again, it's kind of difficult for me to test everything because it's such a high price point, and because we do ourselves. So unfortunately, I can't give a review about this like I could with, for example, Amazon software and things like that. But again, it comes highly recommended, and at least you can kind of do some more research into this yourself. So again, it's called No Limit Creatives, and something very interesting about No Limit Creatives, okay, is that it's basically unlimited creatives for a monthly fee, right? So you basically have a no contract monthly you can use them for 1 month or for a year or for the rest of your life or whatever you want to do. And then every month, right, you basically pay per month, right? Or you can also, pay quarterly, half a year, etc. But you can pay per month and get unlimited creatives for that month. So ideally, something you could do, and I've talked to the owner specifically about this, Jeff Minenbach, specifically about this, and ideally, you can actually get all of your photos done within 1 month for $4.49, and they've done a very good job with the work that I've had. They come highly recommended, so really good, high quality work. And especially if you've kind of watched some of my other videos and you know exactly what to ask them and what you want, that should really speed up the process. This could potentially actually be a lot less expensive than going with other photography services, assuming that you can get it done within a relatively short time frame, depending on the scope of work that you have. But again, you can kind of check this out for yourself. But again, it's kind of a monthly contract or a month-to-month paid basis without any contract. Unlimited creatives per month, and again, you can kind of read all the details here. And ideally, you can get all of your photography done within 1 or 2 months, and it can actually be fairly affordable and really great quality work. Okay, so that's number two. No Limit Creatives for your unlimited graphic design needs. So this last Amazon product photographer is actually a little bit biased because yes, this is my wife's listing on Fiverr. This is a newly created listing, and as I said before, my wife and I do and create all of our own Amazon product photography, infographics, and other graphics and design work. Okay, all of the thumbnails and the artwork that you see here on the YouTube channel, the video editing, etc. That's actually all done by my wife, and we've done again all of the work for our own Amazon business. So, for Amazon products and the products that we sell in other marketplaces. And we decided then, because we saw this hole in the market, especially when Virtuous Graphics, who I was recommending for so much up until this point, closed down shop, we saw this need in the market and decided to open up our services for other Amazon sellers. Again, this isn't super cheap, but this is very, very, what we believe extremely valuable for the price point for what you get. Again, we are Amazon sellers ourselves. We know exactly how to create photos that ultimately get sales. That's all that matters. Looking good is extremely important, and that's actually that's an important aspect or component. Like, your photos need to look good, but there's very specific things and strategies in order to make sure, and sequences to make sure that your product photos are set up in the best way to actually make money, to generate profit, conversion rate, all of that. Okay, and that's our goal, right? Is product photography that gets results. So again, it's a little bit biased. That's why I want to have multiple options for you to look at. I'm not just trying to promote this at all, but I just want to kind of offer it as an option. And like I said, obviously I trust my wife more than any other service, of course. Why wouldn't I? And you can see kind of some of our work here on the site. Again, links to everything will be in the description below. Here's an example of an infographic that we've done. Another infographic here. Okay, product images, another infographic, lifestyle image, etc. Right? So a lot of different options, and this is a new listing we'll be updating later. If you want more, if you do want to kind of consider our services, you can always reach out. We're happy to give you kind of a larger portfolio. Again, this is a little bit newer. We want to get this out as soon as possible. But yeah, so this is personally my favorite because this is literally what we've been using now for a while, and I believe that this can really benefit a lot of sellers. But just to, again, all the resources will be in the description section. So again, that's my wife's listing on Fiverr. You can find her at Ali Hobart. No Limit Creatives. And then lastly, Prime Label Studios. Okay, these are the 3 Amazon product photographers that I would recommend to you. Again, if there's any that you would recommend that I didn't call out here in the video, let everyone else know in the comments. Let us know if you have experience with any of these or other Amazon product photographers. Help the community out by leaving a comment below so we can all kind of benefit from this video. And then lastly, if you did like the video, which I hope you did, again, not trying to be spammy and promote my own stuff, honestly want to be as helpful as possible, and these are literally the 3 best Amazon product photographers that I know. And if you found it valuable, give the video a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more valuable videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because we have a lot more really great stuff coming soon, and I want to make sure you don't miss out. So hope you found this valuable. As always, thank you so much for watching, and look forward to seeing you in future videos.